Alright, this is Frank Sinatra, and this is my review of the 1-144 RX-78-2 Gundam. Now, I've had this model kit for quite some time. I actually liberated it from my parents' house, so I would assume that since it's a high grade and from looking at the manual that its construction is fairly easy, and for those of you who do master grades and perfect grades, this will be a walk in the park, but you probably already knew that given it's a high grade. Anyways, this is the box art. This model kit is from 2001, so it's moderately old. Down on this side we have information about the Gundam and two pictures of what the model will look like painted, along with the HGUC thing. Both sides are identical, and they just have the HGUC and a picture of the drawn Gundam there. Then on this side we have more pictures of what you get with it and the core fighter. And then the Gundam itself in the final stand pose. Then the information stuff. The manual for the thing, here it is, with all the technical specs in English, and a nice picture of the Gundam. And on back are color guide and some pictures that we've all already seen from the box. The insert, however, is in hiragana, katakana, and kanji, and we have the Gundam core fighter and pictures again. Then on this side we have the 1990 updated drawing of the Gundam and a little photoshopped picture of the model itself. Then in here we have our runner list. Not much in terms of runners. And then construction, where pretty much all the joints here in this kit are made of polycaps, and they actually try and hide some of them with plastic, and I'll point that out later. Then we have our core fighter construction. The model kit does come with decals, and here they are. I used them all because I built this a long time ago before I painted my kits. We have our two for the cameras, and then these for the eyes and the little red under parts there. So, onto the model itself. Here's the painted Gundam itself. And for articulation, it's actually quite limited. The head itself is on a ball joint and no polycap inside that, it's just plastic. And can go up just about that far and down that far, and he can turn his head about that far that way, unless you move up on the polycap and you can get him to really turn his head. You can even probably get it to do full 360 with a little bit of tinkering, but for time's sake, just put it back on there. The arms themselves are on peg joints with a polycap in there, separating the shoulder armor. Brain stopped there for a second. And the arms themselves can do full 360. This part of the arm, again, another polycap, and here's where one of them where they tried to hide it with a piece of plastic, and you can see it right there. And the arm can go like that, and that, not a full 180 degree bend, but we'll take it. It's just a 1-144. The hands themselves, let me pop this off, they're on polycap ball joints, and you do get pre-molded hands that will separate via the top of the hand bit here, and just pop that back on there. And the hands can do a full 360 spin. The body itself can barely even turn from side to side, but if you pull up on it a little bit, you can get it to do a good bit of side to side movement, but not really for front and back at all. The legs themselves, let's see if I can get this, they're on polycap ball joints, And the knees, here's another part where they hid the polycap with a piece of plastic. They can do just about that much of a bend, and I guess I forgot to, this joint can go forward about that far, and back about yay far. And now we have the foot. Its ankle armor is independent and can move itself, and the ankle can bend down about that far, and up about that far. There's no real side to side, aside from if you manipulate the polycap in there. You can get it to bend a little bit. Okay, so that's it for articulation, and onto accessories. First ones that you obviously see here are the beam sabers, and you do get 2 beams with it, and each one just kind of goes in there, and it's rather sturdy in there. And when you put it into the hand, it fits kind of loosely. Oh dear, I'll have to find that piece later, but that points out the problem. This joint right there, it's not even a joint, that slot is actually very, very loose, and if you tap this, it's going to do what it just did and shoot the saber out of the hand, which I find quite annoying. Okay. Next we have our bazooka, and normally this would fit in a gun hand, but as a kid I glued the beam rifle to the gun hand, and this actually fits better into these hands than it does the gun hands, strangely enough. And interesting thing about this one is you get a little piece to stick it onto the back of the Gundam. Back here, right there, you just pop this off. There we go. And pop this on. Oops. Oh. Sorry, I dropped it. And I can't seem to find it. There it is. Sorry about that, my carpet makes this stuff blend in quite nicely. But pop that back on there, and then stick the bazooka on there, and it stays actually quite well. And just so you know, this bazooka is just molded in all one color, and it's 2 pieces that just come together. Well, minus this, that's a 3rd and 4th piece, but still, you get my point. Next, as I said before, you do get a beam rifle, and the hand is glued to it. And the beam rifle obviously has a bit of articulation for the handle and the scope itself. And those actually fit on quite nicely for this hand. And with it glued on there, it stays magnificently, but I glued it on there as a kid because it obviously didn't stay in there very well. It jiggled around a lot. But back then they didn't really have master grade hands with a slot in them to make them stay. In high grades, I don't think I've ever had that before. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not really a high grade connoisseur, so I'm not too sure myself. Okay, now we have our shield, and it comes in 3 parts, well, 4, 5. You get these 2 for the to connect to the arm and the backpack. You get the white piece, the yellow piece, and this red piece. All this is painted, obviously. And when you stick it on the arm, that piece goes right in there. And then you just maneuver the shield bit into the hand, and the shield is on the hand. But it can also stay in without connecting to the hand. And, dang it. Personally, I think it looks better not on the hand because then it's not tilted at an angle. But it also can connect into the back, as you can see that little hole there for this peg, and just push it in there, and we have a shield on the backpack. And lastly, for accessories, you get a core fighter. I haven't bothered painting it since I tried to paint it as a kid because I don't display it. But with the core fighter, 2 of the wheels are still left, but you also do get a third one, so it could just sit up and you could display it with the Gundam if you so wished. But that just about does it for this model kit review. It's not much, but it buys the time it adds for a nice little display piece. It counts as my Gundam for the collection, which, in my opinion, every Gundam modeler should have a RX-78 in their collection. But that's it for now, and I'll see you all next time.